Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is Reservations. I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Yeti Spaghetti.
Are
It's
you
not
are
bad.
you the are you the inventor of "There's a Yeti in my spaghetti"?
Yeah, no, I was thinking of a name, and then I looked down, and the box, this microphone came in. It's a Yeti microphone. I was like, Yeti, that'll work.
Yeah.
And I was like, what rhymes with Yeti? Spaghetti. So
Spaghetti.
I'm Yeti Spaghetti. My grandfather invented spaghetti.
Could you could you imagine the family who actually made spaghetti?
I don't know, man. The spaghetti's been around for I think thousands of years. That's why I thought it was funny to say my grandfather invented spaghetti.
My grandfather. It's like the kid on the playground. It's like my dad works at Nintendo.
No, it doesn't.
No. Well, welcome back, everyone. You're probably wondering, if you're watching us, why are we doing this over Zoom? Well, because just like last week's episode, in real time, we are recording the day before the episode comes out, if you're listening, and 2 days before the episode comes out, if you're watching. I got a little busy at work and wasn't able to get off in time. So instead of making Jeremy drive all the way over here, we're just going to do this over Zoom. Hopefully, next week's episode will not have as many complications,
Let's hope
which
not.
is which is kind of fitting for a movie that is so bizarre. And as we were kind of talking about off mic, I guess I just didn't get it.
Yeah, it's one of those dude. This movie is nuts, man. I really like it. I love stuff like this. So this is a cool one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
stoked.
So, in case you weren't tuning in last week, today we are discussing, and Jeremy, hopefully I don't butcher his name, Ingmar Bergman's Hour of the Wolf. Or Jeremy, would you like to try a crack at the Swedish pronunciation?
Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
It's the title of the episode. So if you want to know what that is, just kind of pause the video and see.
Or like
Or
throw it in like a search engine that reads to you, and then see what it comes up with
yeah.
pronunciation wise. I don't know. I'd have to throw on an accent. I don't want to do that either. So
Yeah. Um
yeah, dude, I was stoked about this one. Mainly because what I love about movies like this is a filmmaker who doesn't do horror films, right?
right. Yeah,
And
because isn't
so
most of his movies more like surrealistic like dramas?
yeah. Especially like Persona, Seventh Seal, right? Those are like the famous
Mhm.
ones. I mean, his filmography is huge. So big enough for a Criterion, $200
Box 200.
set. Yeah.
After you told me that, I looked into it and I was like, oh shit, it is $200.
No, yeah, it's really expensive. Um, but anyway, so I love like you always get an interesting product when a filmmaker who doesn't do horror films tries one.
Right.
Since they're not going to use horror film tropes necessarily because they aren't familiar with it, or they put their own spin on the genre, similar to like Lars von Trier. I know you haven't seen Antichrist, but we did
Yeah.
watch The House that Jack Built, and I think that that's an interesting take on a serial killer horror film.
Yeah.
He doesn't do horror films, right?
Right.
And so for someone that doesn't do them, when they try, you get a really interesting product. You get an interesting take on the genre, and this is an interesting take on a horror
I
movie.
was I was just about to say this is very interesting. I mean, like, okay, look, did I dislike it? No. I mean,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to give it one more once through.
Yeah.
But in the initial viewing, no, I didn't dislike it. Because I really liked this. Um, but I guess we're gonna just jump right into it. I really liked this whole idea that this is almost sort of based on a true story. You know,
Kind of. It is taken a lot from what I read in a lot of different places. It was taken from Bergman's life. Like these are the things
okay.
that he struggles with. These are the things that scares him about being creative
Oh,
and
okay,
about
okay.
being an artist, right? In this article that I have pulled up here, printed off and highlighted because I really liked it. It's from the film Suffy. I assume it's short for suffix, which in and of itself is a word that stands for a part of a word. But so that's got layers too. And it's the subtitle is devoted to the discussion of film expression. So I liked their condensed version of the film. I liked the way they explained it. And so I'm going to go off this a lot of the time and throw in some of my 2 cents while we do it. But in here, it does say that the film was made during a particularly introspective period of Bergman's life. And this is 2 years after Persona, which is said to be one of his, best.
Okay.
And he takes an interesting turn in this one. I love the idea that Alma, played by, sorry, I don't have that pulled up. She was also in Persona. She's been in a bunch of his movies. I love the idea of her fixated on, if you spend enough time with someone, you become more like that person, right?
Right.
All she wants to do is understand, right? Be with him long enough to understand him and to be able to feel what he feels and experience what he experiences through his perspective, right?
Right.
I like that. And I think that the idea of perspective is also an interesting topic in this one because it shifts so much. You don't know what's real and what's not.
Oh yeah. What you know is your jam.
Yeah, it is. The thing that I think I loved the most, especially in the beginning, is this sort of fourth wall break, but auditorily, the setting up of the shot. We're going through the title sequence, over black, and we're hearing the production get ready. We're hearing Bergman, be like, "Are you ready?"
All right.
And begin. Right. A film of his called Scenes from a Marriage got an American remake recently on HBO.
Oh yeah.
And each episode begins this way. Each episode begins with Jessica Chastain going and finding her mark, and PAs kind of checking her makeup, and script supervisors handing her the sides and exchanging whatever. And then they sit down, Scenes from a Marriage, and then the episode starts, right?
Might need to watch that now, man.
I haven't seen Bergman's original. I can almost imagine it's the same.
Okay.
That this is sort of a theme of his, this sort of, your suspension of disbelief is automatically broken in the very beginning, right? Which is so odd to begin a movie that way.
Yeah, and that is something I really liked about it. This idea of, and then kind of going back to my whole, I like that it's sort of based on a true story kind of thing. We get these title cards of, Alma gave me Johann's diary, and then we hear the production setting up the shot, almost like you would for a documentary.
Yeah,
and that's something I really dug. Like I really like that.
Yeah, and Alma giving us background on their relationship and how they got to this island and how they, got to this place in their relationship. And how, again, she is just fascinated by the idea of spending X amount of time with someone to gain perspective on their life, right? Which again, I really dug that she is obsessed with that idea. And of course, it's the straight to camera. It's like, I want to say it's like 3 minutes or something. It's long.
It's definitely a long, slow push in on Alma as she's pretty much preparing us for what we're about to get into.
And I like what this article said. I'm reading it right now. The sense of objectivity and narrative distancing. I like the term narrative distance, because it's it's holding the audience at arm's length, especially starting with the audio of them setting up the shot, and then splitting the narrative up this way. I really like. We should probably get into just what the movie's about.
Yeah, I really
before we really deep dive into this. So an artist and his wife are on this island. He is suffering from insomnia and is on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. Johan's not doing too well.
No, Johan's not doing too well. Johan, of course, played by Max von Sydow, who
shout out to the Three-Eyed Raven.
Yes.
If you would watch Game of Thrones, you know that would. No. But also, of course, shout out to Strange Brew and
The Exorcist.
And The Force Awakens, because he has one scene in The Force Awakens.
Oh my god, I don't remember that. And
he's at the very beginning of the movie.
I don't remember that. And of course, The Seventh Seal and
yeah.
So extremely loud and incredibly close. This is also a good. I don't like the movie necessarily, but he has a great part in that. Johan is really struggling, and especially with his art and with just he's having an existential crisis. Basically.
Yeah. Kind of brought on sort of it seemed, maybe to me, from the insomnia, since he can't sleep, all he can do is think.
Right. All he can do is think. All he can do is sketch and contemplate on these what seem to be waking nightmares, right? These things that later Alma finds in his diary are, bizarre.
Yeah.
These encounters he has with people on the island. Okay, so they're on this island. They're there for a while, and then he starts telling her about all these strange people he has met on the island and how he sketched them, and how this one, if she takes off her hat, her face comes off with it, and this guy is owns the island, and this woman is 200 and something years old. It sounds like the ravings of a madman, right?
Yeah.
This guy is losing his mind.
And this is like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, and he's losing it. And another great detail, or lack thereof, is that we don't see these sketches. We don't see these paintings. We don't. I'll get into that a little bit later. But eventually Alma meets this 200-year-old woman who slips up and says she's 200 and however years old.
I think like 297 years old or something
like that. And she says she seems to know stuff, right? And she says, he hides his diary in the satchel under the bed. You need to read that. And you'll get a sense of what's going on. She does, and then we get these flashbacks because we don't know if these things actually happened or not, or if these are just, again, night terrors or daydreams. But there's one of him and the owner of the island. There's one of him and that other gentleman. I think it's the one he accuses of being a homosexual, where he keeps slapping him.
Yeah.
He slaps him once. The other guy later he slaps him.
Yeah, because he keeps following him, and he finally turns around and slaps him and tells him to shut up.
Right. And then of course he has the encounter with Veronica, who is said to be an old lover of his, who is on the island.
Yeah,
coincidentally. Later they get invited to the owner of the island's mansion, castle.
Yeah.
And he, not only does Alma get to see that these people actually exist, but they're just as strange as he says they are. And I love the way Bergman shoots this. It's claustrophobic. It's It's fast, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
The whip pans and the close-ups, it's icky. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Um,
And just all over the place narrative wise.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't seem to want to focus on any one thread for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they finally get out of this situation, but then the wife of this owner of the island shows Alma, almost to humiliate her, the painting of Veronica that Johann has done and that the guy owns.
Yeah.
Um, and apparently it is done in such a way that you can see and feel his love and passion for Veronica in this painting. And it
Mm-hmm.
really bothers Alma, rightfully so, and it bothers Johann. Um, hold on,
Yeah.
what's after that? Hold on.
Isn't
Okay.
it the part where he explains to her what the hour of the wolf is?
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
that's the
So
name of the movie.
that's the name of the movie. Um, and I do love his explanation why it's important. So they go back to their cottage, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And that's when he explains two things. One, what the hour of the wolf is, right? Hour of the wolf is the hour between night and dawn. It is the hour when most people die, when sleep is the deepest, when nightmares feel the most real. It is the hour when the demons are most powerful. It is the hour of the wolf. The hour of the wolf is also the hour when most children are born.
Jeremy,
Um, yeah,
wouldn't that also be considered the witching hour?
I suppose. Um, that one, hang on. I think that one might be, I don't know, maybe. It's either that or before the sun goes completely down.
Well, Future Rain has plenty of time to edit the video, so
Oh yeah,
he could put up right
yeah.
here
Future Rain can put that up if that's right. Uh,
when the witching hour happens. But anyway, yeah.
so then after he does this, he gives Alma two, I guess you would say, bombshells.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
he tells a horrible story of how he was punished as a child and thrown in a closet,
Mm-hmm.
and how horrifying it was to be trapped in that closet, and the harrowing escape of trying to get out. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, begging forgiveness and getting forgiveness from his mother or whatever, but it's still horrible, right?
Yeah.
At least the way he describes it is terrible.
Yeah.
And then he tells this story that's sort of fantastical and I'm not sure is true, right? And I don't think that we're supposed to take it as fact anyway. Is he murders a child
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
fishing? And the shot is so beautiful of this whole sequence. It's shot in black and white. This thing is high contrast. The
Mm-hmm.
whites are blinding, the blacks are stark black. You can see a similar shot in The Town. There is when Ben Affleck's character is remembering why Jeremy Renner's character went to prison in the first place, how he
Okay.
took the rap for that murder or whatever, that assault. That is also done in that sort of high contrast black and white. Highly recommend checking that out. So he tells the story of this kid who doesn't say a word, by the way, who is, I guess, bothering him while he's fishing.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean, I would be weirded out by
yeah,
some kid.
I would be. And of course, this kid is sort of weird.
I know, just watching him.
Yeah, and honestly, there are moments where it is suggested that the kid is being sort of seductive, which is odd, but it's an odd sentence to say. But when you see it, him laying
Yeah.
on the rock, that shot of him
I
laying
thought
on
the same thing. I
yeah,
thought the
it's
same
sort of
thing.
odd, right? And then Johann kills him, and there's a struggle, and
Yeah, because it almost seems like the kid.
Death.
Yeah, because it almost seems like the kid took something from him, and then the kid bites him
Mhm.
on the ear, and
Yeah.
then jumps on his back.
Yeah, and then Johann basically beats him to death,
Yeah,
and then puts him in the ocean or river or whatever they are.
and hightails it out of there.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's
Oh
such
yeah.
an odd story. Um,
And well, and I really love the cut back to Alma because it just cuts right back to her, and she's just like, she's understandably horrified that her
yes,
husband has just admitted to killing a child when they have a child on the way.
right. And again, it's sort of this, you can't believe him because number one, that's horrible, right? And you don't want to. But
Right.
then it's like, given the situation that he's in with the insomnia and with this, nervous breakdown that he is obviously on the brink of, is like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that one's true either, right?
Yeah.
And then of course we get the finale, which is by far my favorite.
Yeah,
The
it's balls to the wall bonkers.
the owner of the castle comes by, right? Is the owner?
Oh, that's the guy he slapped. But yeah, he's like, yeah,
Oh,
we're
you're
having a
right.
party.
You're right. And gives them a handgun for small game.
Mm-hmm.
He says, and invites them to the party. Veronica's going to be there, right? He makes it a point. Johann shoots Alma
Yeah.
and flees to the castle. And this is where things get crazy. So you have the woman who asks him to kiss her feet or caress her feet or something like that.
Yeah.
You have the gentleman that cakes him in makeup.
And a
You
robe.
right. You have the gentleman who I believe it's the owner of the castle this time, who is so his jealousy of him and Veronica consumes him, and he walks up the wall and onto the ceiling
Mm-hmm.
as if to personify visually his overwhelming sense of jealousy and shame, right?
Yeah.
And then of course when he finds Veronica, it seems as if she is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it's revealed that she is not dead, when she pops up and then embraces him and kisses him, then you have everyone that he's met so far on the island there, and they're laughing and jeering, and 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 then they chase him out of the castle, and it's and then Alma, who is not killed but was just winged by one of the bullets, um, finds him and tries to comfort him and get him out of there. And as she's doing that, he escapes her embrace and runs further into the forest where these people, these things that have inhabited the island are are almost consuming him, right?
Yeah.
And then he's gone. And now Alma is recounting the story. And this was Alma recounting the story to whomever she's talking to. Um, sorry, Haley just put her phone under the door. Silly.
She's trying to get some upskirt shots of you, dude.
She is trying to get upskirt shots, but I'm on the other side of the door, or I'm on the other side of the room.
You're on the other side of the room.
So no go.
But yeah, so
anyway,
yeah,
so that's the movie. And all right, so where to begin?
Yeah, man. So again, like I said at the top of the episode, I guess I didn't get it. I will willingly watch it again, but man, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is
So again, it has a lot to do with Bergman's own anxieties, fears. He was going through a tough time, which again is very reminiscent of, and again, you'll never see it, Lars von Trier during Antichrist. He was hospitalized twice during this time for his depression, and
oof, oof.
And he took that and put it on the screen, right?
Okay.
It's almost like Bergman is doing the same thing. He is bottling up his fears, his anxieties, his depression, his introspection, and putting it on the screen and putting it in Johann.
Okay.
Johann is the personification of these things. This is the human version of all that is bothering Ingmar Bergman. and having these people, originally it was called the Cannibals.
Okay. I feel like I read that somewhere.
And you can see it because these people on the island, people is in quotes, sorry, I forgot people can just listen to this. These quote people on the island are consuming his last pieces of sanity, right? And his last pieces of himself, basically. And then we get into, is any of it real? Right?
Yeah.
What is real and what isn't is sort of up for debate. Which again, I really like. I like the idea of it's sort of up to you. It's super ambiguous and it's all on purpose.
Yeah, because the movie just ends. After Alma gives her final kind of like monologue, it just ends.
Yeah.
We're out of there. No credits, just black.
Yeah. In this article, it breaks the narrative up into 5 parts, which I really like, which helped me break this down. Arrival, the diary, the party, the hour of the wolf, and shattered. Really like that last bit. I like the words here. I love, we can get into, the arrival. We're sort of setting things up. He's meeting the bizarre people. You don't know if they're real or not. He's showing Alma these sketches that we can't see, right? Which of course adds into this ambiguity, right? If only we could see what Alma sees, right?
Right.
I do love that we can't see it, right? That's obviously the better choice. It would have been cool if Johann was showing her something and we switch from his perspective to hers and they're different things, right? It's almost like that's also what's happening. Is that he's flipping through these sketches and he's describing something that she's not looking at, right?
Yeah.
Hannibal fans out there of the show, it's like Will Graham's clock that he draws, where he sees it as a perfect clock, but his sanity is slipping a bit and it's off kilter. All the numbers are on one side, and the hands of the clock, the arms aren't in the right place, and the circle is sort of oblong.
That's like episode like 6 or something.
Yeah. So it's sort of like that. Is what I imagine is going on here. But again, that's up to me. And it's up to you. I'm gonna prematurely say I recommend a lot of people see this. If you like, oh
my god, your face just turned blue.
Sorry, hold on. Oh, remind me later. Sorry. Oh man. Sorry, my computer just did something insane. I hate this so much.
Maybe if you'd update it.
Yeah, maybe. It was Adobe. It's fine. Okay. So, all right. So then we get to the diary, and the diary dives a little bit deeper into this ambiguity where, yes, the people he's describing show up in his stories in his diary of these things that have happened to him. But it's like, I don't know to trust that either, because he's the one writing these things down.
Right.
And what's even more interesting is that Alma is also not reliable either, because she's staying up with him. during these sleepless nights. She's not sleeping either.
Yeah.
And so,
Which is kind of wild for a pregnant woman to do.
yeah,
Like, she should
it's
probably
not
be
safe.
sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not safe. But then, which infers the next part when we get to the party. And I love the language here in this article where the atmosphere is oppressive and suffocating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, either perspective we get, either if it's Alma's or if it's Johann's, she has put herself in this insomniatic state, willingly. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, yes, it feels claustrophobic, it feels oppressive, it is overwhelming, and that's for both of them, right? And
Right.
I like that Bergman isn't taking us out of that space. We're the audience is in that space because both of them are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I really, really like. Um, and then once we get to the stories that he tells, um, they're pretty far gone at this point
Yeah.
in their sanity, and neither of them are really in their right minds. And so when he tells these fantastical stories, I don't know. You know, what does it mean to Johann to tell this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why this story? Why if it doesn't seem like a one-off thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like if this story were true, then he's got other ones just like it. So why this one in particular? I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, and then of course the story of him murdering the child.
See, and I think maybe this is why I had such a hard time with it because I was watching it at face value.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this is what Bergman wants to show us. In the movie is considered a psychological horror,
Mhm.
but but I was watching it as you would a horror movie, that this is what's happening to our character. Like, this is, I wasn't getting really the ambiguity,
I see. Mhm.
which is probably what he was intending. So maybe if when I rewatch it and go into it with more like, okay, maybe he is not necessarily lying, but from his perspective, this is what happened, but maybe
Mhm.
it didn't actually happen.
Right.
Maybe then I would be a little bit more apt, I guess. But I
Mhm.
think maybe this is why I was having such a hard time, is because, yeah, I was watching it at face value.
Right. Right. And I think you're not the only one
Yeah.
to do that. Hold on. I took a snapshot of Roger Ebert's article. At least I think I did. If I didn't, that was stupid. Oh, here it is.
Dude.
Because
Let
Roger
me
Ebert mentions this. He says what you did, that if you take it at face value, you're not going to like it really.
Yeah.
It's this movie's going to put a lot of people off because your suspension of disbelief isn't suspended.
Yeah.
When it needs to be. You know, I, how he ends his review is perfect. Okay.
Okay.
If you go see it on Bergman's terms.
Okay.
So by that, of course, he means when you see this movie, you have to see it through Bergman's preferred lens. You can't see it through your logical lens. It's not going to work.
Right.
This movie's not going to work, right? I think in some cases, even watching this movie through the lens of he's having a nervous breakdown, so let's infer what's really happening. I think that's not the point either, because this thing is fantastical in a way that, it's almost, the interpretation can't be that easy either. Then,
Hmm.
you know, if he's seeing this woman remove her face, right?
Yeah.
What is actually happening? The answer is he's probably asleep outside. You know what I mean? Like, this is all
Hmm.
happening in his mind. I don't think he's actually in the castle, right? But even that might not be true, right?
Yeah.
Um, but dude, let's get to that, because
Okay.
um, first let me finish up the party. The thing that made me get up and lean forward and put my arms on my knees and look forward
Uh-huh.
was the puppet show. Holy shit, I was in
Yeah.
love with that. Um, I I was so impressed with the creativity of this, that the puppet is a person.
Yeah.
Um, and the forced perspective of the candles. Oh my god, it was gorgeous. I was completely obsessed. I loved it. And it
See,
sort of gets you ready for what comes at the end, right?
yeah, see, and I was wondering what was up with that because I was like, it's like, why is this? Why are they watching a play and why is it so small?
I know. And it's because, it's you I guess you could read it as, you know, this is Johann's perspective or Alma's perspective of what's going
Hmm.
on, right? Um, I like to think of it as sort of like, as goofy as it sounds, like an Addams Family lens. There's no rhyme or reason for things that happen in that house,
Yeah.
right? And so it's almost like the surrealism of the castle and the people in it. A logical explanation is beside the point, right?
Yeah.
He has a puppet show, and the puppet is a real person. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Obsessed. I loved that so much. Um, but skipping ahead, once we get to Johann running to the castle after he is shot
Yeah.
Alma, his pregnant wife, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Um, I, things that I love about this is that the surrealism is cranked up, right?
Hmm.
We're now in this fun house of horrors, uh, in this castle, and my favorites are, of course, the walking up the walls and the ceiling. I loved that.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, right?
Hmm.
There's obviously now you can do this pretty easily in one shot instead of three, because he does cut away from floor to wall to ceiling. Um, because you could tell that it's like, okay, you're gonna step up, we're gonna cut, we're gonna reset it, move the camera, right?
Hmm.
Instead of like flipping the building, which is what most people would do right now.
Yeah, like Nolan did with the hallway and Inception.
Inception, exactly, right? Or there's a Fred Astaire film where he's tap dancing up the walls. The
Okay.
camera is attached to the floor, and so it looks like he's going up the wall, right? It's sort of that same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah. The thing is the camera is fixed,
yeah,
but the room is turning.
is turning,
And
exactly.
so and so the so when we see it, it just looks like the room is moving.
Right.
Or maybe I'm getting
No,
it
in
wrong.
this instance, it's in the Fred Astaire, and it would be in this one, would be the room is moving, but it looks like the person is, right?
Yeah, no, actually,
Um,
no, I am right because I just thought of the shot in the What We Do in the Shadows movie where they do that.
yeah,
They go from the floor to the wall
yes,
to the ceiling
yeah,
fighting, and
yeah,
it's the camera is fixated, but they're
yeah,
turning the room.
right, exactly.
So yeah,
Um, so, but I love the way he did it anyway, right?
yeah,
Because I think seeing it in one shot would have been cool, which he could have done. I mean, this is technology he had.
Yeah, it's
But
only 73, so
68.
68. Oh, okay.
But seeing the look on Johann's face, each cut, I think works a little bit better here.
Yes, seeing
because
him
he's
progressively get horrified.
right, more and more horrified as this man is walking up to the ceiling.
Mhm.
And just the imagery of that, I just love. That's probably my favorite bit in the whole thing. And that's counting the puppet show. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, I think the most horrific is the woman taking her face off.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God.
With the hat, as he described, by the way, with his sketches, letting you know that whether or not he's losing his mind, it's like, oh, hey, he wasn't lying, technically.
Yeah.
This woman is removing her face with her hat.
Look, he may be crazy, but no one says Johann lied.
Yeah, no, Johann's not a liar. Yeah. And then of course, just these people, these parasites that are consuming him and his sanity at the end. It's a great metaphor for whatever Bergman was going through at the time. It's a great metaphor for the visuals of your anxieties and fears, delusions and depression consuming you, literally, right? It's a pretty powerful message. I really, really enjoyed.
And also sort of us succumbing to them too,
right?
Because Johann doesn't really try to fight them off.
In fact, he leaves Alma to go towards them, basically.
Yeah, so it's also it's also kind of saying like, what would happen if we let this consume us,
right?
Yeah.
And it's almost to get better, to work on leaving these demons behind is too hard. I'm just gonna let them have me, basically. Is what Johann is doing, which again I loved. I think for you, giving this another shot, knowing what you know now, I think
I might enjoy it a little bit more.
I think you're gonna like it more. Yeah,
because like you asked me the other night, why didn't I buy it? And see, and I was right. Like, what if I don't like it? Yeah, I don't want to be stuck with the movie I didn't like.
Yeah, true.
Even though I have the original cut of Justice League on my shelf back here, but Blech. And then I have the Snyder cut right there. But anyway, so I do want to give this one another shot because, I've heard so much praise about Bergman, and of course I love Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
So I do want to give this one another shot. I didn't want to go into it not liking it, but I was so like, what is happening?
Yeah, what is going on? Yeah.
Because I was following along, but then as it starts to ramp up quickly, and his ramp up is instant,
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, what is happening?
Yeah, not a long movie, man. It's 90 minutes.
So, yeah, I was kind of shocked that it was only an hour and a half. I was like, oh, yeah. Really? I was expecting this to be, like Stalker length.
Yeah. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Yeah, something like that.
But
me too. When I think of art house foreign films, I think minimum it's going to be 2 hours long.
Right. Yeah.
But I like that this kind of changed my perspective on that. And I like, I have a few exceptions, but horror films are better short. Again, there are a few exceptions, but especially with stuff like this, it's sort of like get in and get out. Which I appreciated in this. And again, shout out to the film Selfie, man. You guys really helped me out on this one. Really appreciate it.
Could you imagine if they watch?
Yeah, and they're like, holy shit, that guy this guy just read the article and passed it off as original thought, which is what I kind of did. But it did help me understand sort of the breakdown of the narrative, because for a while there, after I finished it, I go, shit, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I watched it and I don't know what happened in this movie.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I had such a hard time, because there's no resolution, there's no catharsis. The movie just happens.
Yeah.
And having done this, having us do this now for 7 seasons, I've grown to love that, but sometimes I need a little bit
something.
of a little bit of something, little resolution.
A little something.
But
almost okay. That's something.
Yeah.
She's fine. Hopefully she got some sleep and she's fine.
Yeah. So Jeremy, are you ready to wrap up?
I am. I think this one was short, but
I think so. I think when we end it, it'll tell me how long it was. But
yeah, this one's 15 minutes long, and whatever.
Could you imagine if it was like, oh, we've only been talking for 15 minutes?
Holy shit. Still worth it. Still, I think we did this justice. I think we did all right. And again, these are films that we have only had a few days to reflect on. These aren't movies we've seen before. So this is the fun of the season, where we're, just seeing movies that, we're just interested in or curious about or have been on our list for years.
Yeah.
This one, I don't remember how I found out about it. I think I liked The Seventh Seal, and I was like, oh, Bergman did a horror film. That sounds really cool. And it was, it got pretty decent reviews, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm in. Man. Sounds scary.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like I said, I didn't dislike it. I just didn't get it. And I'm sure I've said it on the show before, film isn't here for you to get, like what we were talking about with X, and how no, not X. No, it was the Batman. Ashley told me about someone that she saw had posted how it was quote unquote low budget. And I was like, well, then they didn't get it. And but it was so this goes for me, like I didn't get it, but again, because I think I was just watching it at face value. I feel like had I gone knowing what I know now and knowing what I know now going into a second rewatch, I think I'll appreciate it a little bit more.
Totally. Yeah, I again highly recommend. I know we just ran through the whole thing. Still go see it. I think you found it on iTunes.
Yeah, it was on iTunes. It was the Criterion version too.
Nice. I have the MGM DVD up there. I don't even know if you could see it. You can. It's right by Futurama. Yeah, right Bergman. There. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, go find it wherever you can. Recommend wholeheartedly. It's a lot of, especially if you like stuff like surrealism and ambiguity. That's So
yeah.
So Rain, next week.
So I'm actually going to let you decide, because I don't know how to follow up this movie.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you pick between a number between 1 and 5.
Okay. Let's go number 2.
All right, you're going to be happy about this one, my man.
Oh, okay.
So next week, we are going to be talking about David Fincher's Mank.
Yes. This one I've seen. This one I've seen. This one I love. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I knew most of my list you've seen. But
there are a few I haven't. So
yeah, but I really wanted to see Mank when you first told me about it, because of course it's got our boy Gary Oldman. It's David Fincher, and I was like, sold right there. What's it about? And then when I learned that it is involving Citizen Kane and Orson Welles, I was like, cool. Haven't seen Citizen Kane. It's on the list. I mean, not for this season, but it's on the list for me to see. I was like, dope, I'm in. And I just
Now, here's a question for you.
yeah, okay.
It may be too much to ask.
Okay.
Is there any part of you that would consider doing both?
Citizen Kane and Mank.
And Mank, yeah. Or at least watching Citizen Kane for Mank. We don't have to talk about Citizen Kane.
I would do that.
Okay.
I would do that. I mean, I've been meaning to get Citizen Kane on the Criterion 4K.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to check it out again. So that'd be fun.
Yeah,
and
man.
That way you have context. It's not necessary per se, but I mean, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. So
yeah.
Yeah,
man, I mean,
what's funny about Mank is I've told people before that, and you'll probably think this is funny. I've told people that they're like, what do you want to do? I hate that question, by the way, but they're like, what's main goal? Right. And instead of quoting Riff Raff, I said, I'd love to like work for Turner Classic Movies. I'd love to be like a presenter or a host on Turner Classic. I think that would be fun. Right.
Right.
And they said, okay, well, who's one of the hosts on there now? I said, well, Ben Mankiewicz is one of the hosts on there now. And he goes, okay, well, here's what you do. Because again, they're trying to give me advice. They don't know what I know. And they said, just find out what he did to get on there. And then you just do that. I go, cool. His grandfather wrote Citizen Kane. That's how he got on it. And they go, Herman Mankiewicz is Ben Mankiewicz's grandfather, and he wrote Citizen Kane. So that's how he got on Turner Classic Movies.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd be down. Maybe I can go find the 4K at Not Hastings on the cheap, or maybe shoot myself in the foot and go ahead and sell my Twin Peaks now, even though the other one hasn't gotten here yet. But
yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. Well, I am stoked about this one. God, I love Mank. And another fun fact for you before we go, it's David Fincher's dad who wrote the screenplay. So
really, so it's all in the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And of course, I think his dad has passed away since then, but he decided to make this, finally. Because his dad couldn't get it off the ground. So.
Well, can't wait, man.
That's exciting.
All right, everyone. Well, we hope you enjoyed this 15-minute episode of Hour of the Wolf. And we will see you next week for Mank.